Let me know when you're ready.
Where the chief was today, this morning.
Oh, was I supposed to be over there?
Correct.
How do you know?
What did you
Chief
say?
Jimmy, Mike Bennett.
You guys, he gets,
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters.
We're good? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Calori. I'm the President and CEO of New Jersey Transit. First, I want to thank my colleagues in the Office of Emergency Management for the work they do day in and day out. This is the nerve center, if you will, of how we manage operations throughout the state of New Jersey. These folks work tirelessly every single day to make sure our customers are safe. I also want to make a larger point about the 12,000 people I call my colleagues at New Jersey Transit. And yes, it includes the locomotive engineers. Our mission has always been the same. It is, how do we move the 350,000 people that rely on us every single day through the system safely and efficiently? And we will never compromise that principle. I also want to say, in no uncertain terms, I respect the collective bargaining process. I always have. In fact, those of you who have heard me in the last 105 days talk about the BLET potential strike, I said my first priority is to make sure we get to the negotiating table as quickly and as often as possible. And that process actually bore some fruit. Not based on the words I'm about to tell you, but based on a joint press release the union put out with me. That deal was negotiated in good faith. And we came to a conclusion where both of us said that the deal we had reached is fair and fiscally responsible. But the union members, 372 of them, chose to take the view that it was not good enough, that they're angry. I've been thinking for the last week and a half, how should I understand the actions of these 372 members, who, by the way, are my colleagues? The only thing I can come to the conclusion is these 372 members who live in New Jersey, who work in New Jersey, somehow believe that they are entitled to make wages like they live in New York and work in New York. No one that I know would ever ask for that deal. But that is where we are. What does that mean in real terms for the state of New Jersey, for the taxpayers of New Jersey, for whom all of us work for, including the locomotive engineers? They make on average $135,000 a year. They want $190,000 a year. That is the pay raise they want. That doesn't even put them anywhere in the middle class income range. The average New Jersey resident makes $77,000 a year. $190,000 a year on average puts them in the upper income class. It's a nice dream. I don't blame them for it. But there's a reality check. What is the reality check? Just last night, one of the newspapers, a national newspaper, said that U.S. transit agencies in the country are in a $6 billion death spiral. You just have to look around all the agencies that surround us. SEPTA is in a massive fiscal crisis. They're about to reduce their service by 45%. They're about to increase their fares by 20%. MTA, as I understand it from this article, is facing a $400 million deficit in 26 and 27. Chicago, on its main website, is pleading for help because they are facing a fiscal crisis in 2026. New Jersey, for the first time in 45 years, because of the Governor Murphy, and because of the legislature, for the first time in 45 years, ensured that we have the finances to operate without disrupting the lives of our residents. For the first time in 45 years. In asking for this pay raise, the unions are saying loud and clear that they want New Jersey Transit to be with SEPTA, Chicago, and MTA. Well, my friends, that ain't not going to happen under my watch. There is reason. There's fairness. None of the positions I've heard thus far from the unions are neither reasoned or fair. Now, I want to be crystal clear that I am not looking for a strike. Neither are my colleagues who are here with me. And these are the folks who run the system every single day. We want a deal that is fair and responsible. We are not the ones with a countdown clock that counts down to a strike that seemingly the union is hell-bent on seeing through. It doesn't have to be this way. We, on the other hand, have been working for months planning for a mitigation plan. Why? Because we think that it is in no one's interest, including the locomotive engineers, to say that the 372 members somehow trump the 350,000 daily riders of our system. That math has never made sense to me, and it doesn't today. So while their threat is alive and well right now, we are here today to announce a contingency plan for a potential strike on May 16th, should the unions decide that's what they want to do. What is our plan? What is going to run? PATH is still going to be in service. Amtrak is still going to work. The ferries are still going to work. The buses that we have still will work. The light rail system we have still will work. What won't work is the 100,000 people that we move every single day on our rails. What do we intend to do to mitigate it? You can never replace the rails one for one with a bus system. But our plan is twofold. One is we intend to take the current bus lines that exist and enhance them where appropriate and target our focus on New York City, because 40% of our bus riders go to New York every day and 72% of our rail riders go to New York every day. So our first priority is to enhance the bus service as where we can to make sure we get our riders to their destination. Second, we'll have 4 park and rides throughout the state that will have supplemental bus service to move people from Secaucus, Hamilton, Woodbridge, and the PNC Center on the Parkway. Added together, our hope and our plan is we will move about 20% of the folks through the system Why is that important? We are going to focus on moving essential workers who need to get to their work, whether they work in a hotel, whether they are a nurse at a hospital, wherever they need to get to, our plan is to move them. For those folks who can afford to work from home, should the strike become a reality, we ask them to work from home. This is not what any one of us wants to do. But what we are not going to do is cower under the table and not have a plan for our customers, because that is my singular priority. That is what I'm going to focus on. And I hope the union comes to a conclusion that is reasonable, that is rational, and that is considerate. Something that seems to be in short supply nowadays. The world cannot operate when it is just about one person or a small group of people. We are in a very, very challenging time. We may be facing a recession in the not-too-distant future. Tariffs are going to have an impact on what we're doing when we purchase our buses, our ability to run trains. This is not the time to take an agency which is finally standing up on its feet and take a 2x4 to it. I will not be party to it. I will not let that happen. And I know the members of the locomotive engineers don't in their hearts believe that that is the right way to solve their long-term interest in this organization. Because if they want a career and not a small payout for a few years, this is not the right course. We have an obligation in the end, not to ourselves and our families, which is an important objective in everyone's life. And I don't deny it. In fact, I embrace it. In fact, I applaud it. But what we cannot embrace is a small group of people somehow say to the 9 million taxpayers of New Jersey that they are entitled to a $55,000 a year average pay raise. That cannot happen, and it should not happen. And I'm going to work every single day between now and May 16th to get us to a point of a deal. And let me be crystal clear one more time. Should there be a strike, it is not because New Jersey Transit did it. It is singularly because the union makes a decision that that is the course they want to take, because their interests are more important than the lives of the 350,000 commuters we serve. Thank you. Happy to take questions.
Earlier today, came up with a new proposal. They said they will counter it next week. They said the average engineer makes $89,000. The $135,000 that you quoted is what they made during overtime during COVID when they were working to keep the system up and alive and running. What do you say to that? And did you make a new offer today? And are you waiting for them to counter?
Let me take those questions in sequence. The $135,000 they make on average today is not a number I pulled out of thin air. I pulled it out of payroll records for the last year. It is publicly available data. $89,000 is their starting wage. When you pay your taxes to the IRS, do you pay it based on your starting wage or what you actually made? What you actually made is what you ultimately end up paying taxes on, and which is what we're responsible for. So the $135,000 a year on average number is not a figment of my imagination. It is what we actually paid out last year. And the $190,000 per year on average is based on what they asked for and priced out, and see what the impact on the agency is going to be. So when people throw out nice and low numbers, it sounds great, but that's their starting salary. But the agency actually paid out on average $135,000 a year. That's number one. Number two, today we met. It was a very cordial meeting, and we agreed to meet again next week. Our counter proposal or our proposal, based on the rescission that we put in place last Friday, which is we rescinded our offer that they voted down, we're right back to the pattern of bargaining that we have with all the other unions. So which is less than what they agreed to with me a few weeks ago. They now owe us a counter proposal. And we wait for it, and it's supposed to happen sometime next week. We look forward to negotiating with them. I have never changed my mind on this, nor my position. I'm always willing to talk. I'm always willing to make a deal. What I just can't do is make a deal that'll fiscally bankrupt New Jersey Transit. Larry.
Larry. Thanks. The union has characterized the $55,000 as a pay differential between engineers and conductors, and the last presidential emergency board characterized that as an agreement that's existed for 45 years, roughly. So what exactly is that $55,000 number you cite? Is it that pay differential, and is the issue about how that is paid out? In other words, do they want one lump sum as opposed to being paid over time?
So there's two things that I think we need to sort of dissect that answer with. One is the $55,000 is the average salary increase for the union member should what they want go into effect. And that is how it's going to show up in their paycheck with overtime and everything. And I've said this to anybody who's asked me this before. I'm not saying the $135,000 is their base salary. I'm saying that's base plus the overtime, which is what we pay every single year. So the $190,000 they've offered, that they have offered as a counter publicly, essentially says that that brings it's a $55,000 pay raise with overtime. Secondly, we have always said we intend to solve the 10.4% differential with the conductors, and frankly, that was part of the deal we made with them the first time around. So I'm a little confused how either this is being mischaracterized by the union. Either they don't understand it, one. Two, they haven't briefed their members who happen to vote against it, not knowing what they voted on. Or three, they're disingenuous about it. I will let you ask them which one of the three it is. And the second thing I would say, Larry, is there is this notion that somehow we get to make a deal in a vacuum with the BLET. Oh, it's only 420 members. It's not a big deal. The impact on New Jersey Transit is not very big. These are fine people. I've said this. They do a good job in the work that they do. They operate good rail cars and engines for us. But they're not lawyers. They can tell you that not every other union will be entitled to the deal we make, but I am telling you, in fact, that's what's going to happen. So this is not a deal that we get to make in a room somewhere where they walk away and say, great, thank you so much, and New Jersey Transit has a small hit on our balance sheet. Every other union is going to say, we want the same deal. In fact, some are waiting to see what deal we strike. Something else. Since we have a regional press corps here, let me say this. Every other railroad is watching what's happening here. This isn't just about fare increases in New Jersey. This is about what it's going to mean in every railroad across the country, because this is the pattern they're looking to do. At some point, enough has got to be enough. Reasoned, fair deals do not mean a $55,000 pay raise when the average salary in New Jersey is $77,000.
Hey, Chris, with this contingency plan, are you confident that this plan can replace what would be lost?
No, the answer, I've said this very clearly. Each train carries 1,000 people on average. Each bus can carry 100 people if it's an articulated bus. Right, Mike? Okay. So I think that's why I want to be crystal clear here. This is not a replacement of our rail system. This is a plan to mitigate so essential workers can get to work in New York and other places in a safe and efficient manner. And by the way, let's talk about the cost of this. I want you to understand what this means. Being held while we're trying to actually run a system day in and day out, we've now expended enormous human capital on this exercise. And we've already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and committed to millions of dollars in contracts to prepare for this eventuality. Who is that serving? Is that the best use of taxpayer dollars? Is that how the world we live in has come to, where this is how we conduct ourselves? Where just when an agency is standing up on its feet, just when we're about to modernize the entire fleet, so by 2031 we'll have a fully modernized equipment. And we're working with Amtrak day in, day out to make sure that the Northeast Corridor's repairs are happening. Now, this is what we're focusing our attention on. I'm not saying it's not their right, by the way. I want you to listen to me very carefully. It is their right to strike if they want to. But I've always thought just because you're on a warpath doesn't mean you take it.
Just jumping on that, can you explain more the weekly costs that you anticipate that this contingency plan is going to cost New Jersey Transit? And also, can you elaborate more on the private carriers that are augmenting this, and who's going to be the bus carriers working on this?
Sure. I'm going to let Mike answer the second question, but the cost of this is $4 million a day. That's what it's going to cost the taxpayers. I think any rational person would say that's a horrible waste of money, but that's what's going to happen. Let me just, before Mike gets there, I wanted to point out to the one with a scan code I can't see from here, but I think it's this one. Every single station, starting tomorrow, will have one of these posters at the train station. So customers can prepare and plan ahead should there be a strike that the union decides to call. And I'll say one other thing. Should there not be a strike, then there is no deal. And if there is any thought, let me put this issue to rest right now. If people think in the union they can somehow conduct some job actions even without striking, I want to be crystal clear on this point. I will not tolerate it, and we will use every tool in our toolbox to make sure we enforce the laws on the books. Crystal clear, period, end of sentence. Mike, answer the question on this.
Sure. The carriers that we're going to be using to augment the rail service are both local carriers such as Academy that will help enhance our existing bus system. We'll position them strategically along rail corridors where we believe our regular bus system will be impacted. And then we've contracted with TMS, who is a transportation management system broker. So they will employ all other local carriers, regional carriers. There will be a whole conglomeration of different carriers that will serve park and rides, primarily to New York and to the path.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi. Chris, we were just talking to the union again, and a representative says that it would actually cost less for New Jersey Transit to pay them and give them their raise than to spend that $4 million a day in the event of a strike. Your response to that?
I'm not a math genius, but $4 million a day is not $1.3 billion.
Questions? Anyone? Anthony?
Chris, I mean, in light of all the troubles that New Jersey Transit has had, is this the type of thing that you want to see have happen at this point in time? I mean, they've had summers of extended trouble, can't get people there. It's a problem that has just been bugging New Jersey Transit for years now. I mean, is there any way that you can figure out how to get this done without having this happen before we get to the summer again?
I thought I did. I actually had a deal. I acted in good faith. I have never not made a deal in my life that I haven't honored. There's a word for what I think they stand for, but I'll use two. I think they acted in bad faith. It's their right to vote it down. But this is clearly not what anybody wants, certainly not me. The reason I prioritized these negotiations at the start of my tenure at New Jersey Transit 105 days ago is to make sure we are not at this point. But clearly, the union has other views. Their view, in my humble opinion, is neither reasonable nor affordable. Look forward to seeing them every day till May 16th. And should they make the decision that this is what they insist on doing to destroy the lives of 350,000 residents and riders, the responsibility and the blame will be squarely on them. And in the meantime, we will do everything in our power to mitigate that.
Thanks. Commuter-oriented question. For people who are about to buy their May monthly passes, and speaking of rail commuters, basically what should they do? Should they buy those passes? If there is a strike but it only goes for a short period of time, is there a refund process being considered for those monthly pass holders?
My advice is, as the reason why we're doing this 2 weeks ahead of time, is to make sure people have enough time to think about and plan their life for the duration of the strike. My advice is to make sure they buy daily tickets on their app, which is I think the safest and the most reliable way to do it, and see how it progresses. We are not contemplating refunding tickets at the moment. We are focused on addressing this crisis and to stop the bleeding.
Any other questions? Everyone good? Everybody good? Thank you very much. Thank you. Yep.